suddenly they're exposed to worldwide information, and now standards have shot up in relationships. People are getting divorced because they think that there's something better out there for them. There's something more in another person, and so it just keeps jumping from one relationship to another. Then there's also this whole fucking charade um of young relationships general. Like now people are frowning upon people getting married early, right? They're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go live your life or something, go travel or something. And it's prolonging it even further. Now even more young people are not having kids.
Yeah.
So there's this huge snowball effect in so many different factors. The snowball isn't just gaining snow from the ground it's rolling on. It's like other people are throwing snowballs at it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if we're gonna talk about Expanse, going out into different like star systems, populating Mars properly, we're going to have a lot more kids. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
just won't have the population to do it.
Yeah, like we were discussing
Not only
earlier,
that, but our education has to be spread more.
your our
We can't be
education needs to be a
sending
lot better.
dumbass hillbillies to the fucking Martian
Hmm.
colony.
Unfortunately, they didn't really go into education at all in the Expanse.
They did at one. There was one thing that has always stuck to me that I remember. It was somewhere in the fourth season where they were talking and they were doing like surveys of Venus, right? Uh oh yes, you remember when the asteroid crashed into Venus and
Huh?
then they had the UNN shuttle that went down and to inspect the area that eventually got like blown up and spread into different
Should have
parts.
probably said a disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast, like
Yeah.
spoiler alert for the Expanse people out
Yeah,
there that
I'll
haven't
throw
watched.
one in the thing. But anyways, so what happens is there's this one point where this guy's talking. He's talking about this like the quantum theory, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, but no, that you can't talk about it like it's advanced. We teach this to our sixth graders," and it was
Uh-huh.
quantum
Oh yeah.
physics. And
All right, guys. Another one of our crazy little podcast conversations. Today we decided to make a topic, try and follow throughout our discussions, and it's one that's, I guess, could be considered slightly uh, cliche in a sense, but we wanted to hit it off as trying to see what it would be like if humanity should follow a future as in the Expanse. So what we've done is we've divided ourselves into the three different factions. Mr. Meltmore will be the Martian. Then we've got good old Dreamer J as our Earther, and I myself shall be a Belter. Um, Trying to also follow the sort of timeline that the Expanse followed. So now we're let's call it 200, 300 years into the future, maybe 400. I don't. What's appropriate? What do you guys
yeah,
think?
we do 200 years. We say the easier way to put it is just we've colonized the solar system.
Yeah,
That's
say we
where or
let's say
whenever that
we have a
happens.
colony. We have a colony on Mars, and we've got the belt, and we've got Earth. All of that has now been processed, and we're in this time space, right? So now we can try and try and imagine. Let's try. Let's leave the expanse out of this and try to imagine what life would be like for those on Earth currently, those on the belt currently, and those on Mars currently. So let's start with the classic. What do you think is happening on Earth right now, Johan?
um, yo, dude, I feel like you've thrown this topic, and
With no
it's
preparation, I know it's
no, but
awesome.
that's the thing that makes it interesting is the amount of different scenarios that I'm running in my head. Because 200 years into the future, let's say, it's very dependent one on the other group, the Belters or the Martians or the I don't know, the pirates, whoever are out there. And yeah, I think one thing that I will agree with is I think it's going to be very hard to stop the environmental damages that we've done to the planet. I
That's a
think
good start.
I think the damage that has already been done with global warming will probably be seen for the next 100 or 200 years. I don't know if we can retroact it. We can halt it, but I don't know if we can retroact it. So I also don't think that it is a plausible idea to think that humanity is equipped enough right now to be able to supply all the needed information, studies, peer reviews, and everything on the science that will be needed to counteract or even halt global warming. So I think it's a very plausible situation that the environment is slightly fucked up. I don't mean in the sense of
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it was one of the main reasons why we decided to colonize Mars in the first place,
yeah,
right? We needed like a backup plan in case
and
Earth should go
the
haywire.
other problem is you run out of space. We think there's a lot of space here. But I mean, the population boom that's going to start happening when you have suborbital flights that are just easy to do and it's going to take you an hour to get from one side to the other side of the planet max, then yeah, space no longer really
I just
applies.
just before we get a little too far from this topic, I do want to mention something about what you said. Like we do have to take into consideration that at this point in our evolution, our technological evolution, I would say rather, we have figured out how to colonize even the belt. So I believe if we have the capacity, the technology to do that, we would have the ability to circumvent like some sort of climate
Isn't
issue as well.
I find
Carbon
that to
capture
be
is a very real thing right now
okay? So
already.
here's where the Belter is going to step in and say like, cool. Just as an idea, I've been pondering it over in my mind. Like you know how in the Expanse Belters have to pay for air.
Yeah.
Yeah, water and air is not
Yeah,
free.
and I thought to myself, cool, like how did we feasibly colonize the belt with an air source? Which would mean we'd have to grab fertile soil from oxygen producing biomes to be able to create our own air. So not just through scientific means. I guess you can scientifically
Well,
generate oxygen.
basically,
Uh,
all you're gonna do is you're gonna make a terrarium. You know, one of those self-sustaining terrariums that people make where it's been like 15 years in a jar and nobody's ever opened it and it just feeds its
yeah.
own water, its own air, it cycles everything. That's just basically what you're gonna have to do for most of your air. Um,
So isn't that amazing? Like already in the beginning, there is so much to be indebted to Earth for the fertile soil, for the
dude,
science, for the
there
manpower.
to
You know
take
what's
it.
crazy, dude? Like, sorry to interrupt
No
you, Johan.
worries,
Like, one
bro.
of the biggest things that I took away from that show as well, and it's been like kind of resonating with me, is the fact that they literally need to import tons of soil from Earth and they call it live soil. Like, our soil literally has
Nutrient
microorganisms in it
soil.
that, no, live soil, dude, not nutrient soil, live soil. Like, that soil literally has billions of organisms in each teaspoon of it, and those organisms make life, plant life possible. And I've just
Yeah,
been thinking about it that in the context of like gardening myself, the amount of life that is present in this very thing that I'm working with. It's crazy. It's a co-creation as well in that way.
I remember that in another show called man, what it I can't believe I can't remember it now. It'll come to me. But
Uh,
there's this scene where they're talking about people on the ISS, and they're talking about what they're going to send them, and one of the requisites that they were going to send them on their monthly things is fruits. And eventually the government was like, why are we sending them fruits? This costs a lot of money. And they're like, this is the only place you can grow shit. Like, Earth, without this planet, there's no food, there's no life that can work, and like that's the thing that even like the Mars colonies need to try and recreate. Imagine, like, have any of you seen the video that Kyrgyzstan did on terraforming Venus?
Yeah, I
uh,
did.
I did not.
Okay, but
Can you explain?
it's it's so in depth in a process that we can barely understand. Like the soil you'd have to put down, the amount of stuff you'd have to take out of the atmosphere to be able to put in the stuff that's needed. it's a 300, 400 year endeavor to try and colonize this place. Now we're trying to take what is Earth and move it.
Yeah, so
Well,
as far as I know, the thing that lacks in Martian soil is the nutrients in the soil, right? The
yeah, because
minerals and the necessary let's call it chemicals, stuff like nitrogen, I'm not
yeah, the
too
other
familiar
the
with it.
other problem.
I was at some point. I've forgotten throughout the years, but there are certain things that the soil requires for you to be able to grow things in it, right?
The Yeah, but the bigger problem that Mars has is that its atmosphere is not as step as the as what would be the right word as well, I want to keep saying harsh, but as strong as ours. Basically, the problem is you'll just anything that isn't properly insulated that just gets radiation cooked. So you're gonna
So
have
you
to
would actually need containment fields
yeah, you'd
or
have to make like glass domes where you'd filter out most of the in some may probably you just grow it in darkness with grow lights. So it would be the easiest way.
so
But don't
can you imagine the resources that you would need to
what
to
why do you
build
think
those
why do you think
like
Mars is the
vast
way
and
Mars
immense.
is? It's this is a like military society because it's the only way we function. You can't have quote unquote freedom. I say that very loosely because they're very free, but there's a doctrine that needs to be followed
It
when
would
you're undertaking
Yeah,
this big of a task. You
you would need incredibly hardy people, disciplined
yeah,
people to live in an environment like that. People that understand the needs and the sort of acid test. It's called an acid test because it's either a yes or a no. Um, and you would need people that understand the consequences if you should not follow the rules. I mean, you're not risking just yourself, you're risking an entire idea, an entire um, colony.
yeah, it's quite
And
incredible, dude, what they've managed to even accomplish just in the Expanse's like range of what it looks at in terms of how humanity's colonized the
that's
stars.
that's also what makes it interesting in the Expanse's argument, because the way I would see it, right, is the belt would have to come first after Earth, right? Need the belt to be first before we can
Almost,
colonize
yeah.
Mars. You would need the resources, the asteroid mining, the travel, the checkpoints in between Earth and Mars before you can visibly colonize Mars. So essentially, the belt came directly after Earth, then following Mars, which makes it funny in the dynamic of the Expanse because it's the belt that actually suffers in that series,
The
right?
reason is, and they make it very explicit, and you can actually think about it when you have Mars that's so close to Earth, and the belt exists millions of kilometers away. It's not just like a simple act of let's send food or stuff like that. The belt needs to be self sustaining. That's why they have Ganymede, which was growing all the food for the belt on the Jupiter's moons with those fucking reflecting lights or mirrors, which was still one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
That is very cool. That
Um,
is very, very cool.
so yeah, it's gonna be incredibly complicated, and like you said, I actually didn't think about it, but yeah, the belt should almost be more important. Yeah, it should absolutely be more important than other colony efforts. Because what are you gonna do without the resources from our solar system's asteroids? You can't mine a planet to death. Maybe we could strip Mercury, but still, Mercury's like an
Herbert
actual
uses it
viable option
immediately.
to just core mine it because it's so close to the sun that you could barely build anything there of like lasting effect. So
I'm so curious about that. Can you imagine mining a planet into depletion where to the point where you affect its gravity, right? I wonder what would happen to the general like rotation of the solar system.
you definitely affect it in some way. It'd probably depend. I think if you were to like pop Jupiter out of its position, the solar system.
I'm talking in extremes right now, of course. It's almost
Yeah,
impossible
but that's what I'm saying. Like
to mine a planet such.
if you were to take Jupiter and just pop it out of existence, our solar system would slightly fall apart because we really need Jupiter for like gravitational vacuuming and things like that. But if you were to pop Mercury, which is like fucking small, dude. Mercury is tiny in comparison to most of the other celestial bodies. I actually don't know how much it would be affected. Dude, even like
Curious. What would happen to its own rotation?
I would
I
definitely slow
mean, I don't know
down.
if you dudes know, but that's happening to Earth right now. Like our core is cooling down, and as a result of that cooling down core, the flux of our magnetic waves are reducing, meaning that our planet will have to leave our planet because it's cooling internally, more so than we're going to be affected by the heating externally.
More global warming will fix it. That was a
Mm,
joke. That was.
yeah, well, maybe if you could like, imagine just dropping fusion engines into the core of our planet. The other thing that I also think I never really appreciated, and I know the science behind this movie definitely wasn't the closest thing, but there's this movie where they basically the core of the planet stopped rotating. And so they had to build something that could get to the core of the planet to restart the turning, which obviously it can't happen.
What movie is this?
I don't
That's hilarious.
remember. It's obviously the car, but the coolest
Like you were
part about
referencing a
this.
show as well. Sorry, just before we go, like you were referencing Space Force earlier.
Yes, I was referencing Space Force. Thank you for getting the name for me.
No problem.
But anyways, they build this machine that needs to go to the core of the planet. But it's so interesting to see like the crust is nothing. When you start getting closer to the center of the Earth, and like the rock is 1,000 degrees all around you, like we don't like cooling down is a very relative portion for at least in our lifetimes. It's
See,
gonna
that's why I'm saying in the time span of Earth going to Mars, of colonizing Mars, I doubt that would affect us much. Um, it would take many, many millions of years, if not billions of years, for Earth's core to cool down. Um, and of course, it is happening slowly. I mean, we're
the
not
sun's
getting
cooling
external
down.
energy.
I mean, what do you
Can you?
guys think about the theory? If we're going to talk about the Earth cooling down or the core cooling down, some theories suggest that Mars at one point was Earth-like.
I know. I've seen some of those things. It's interesting because we can never know unless we get there and do like proper scientific. Uh,
Oh, that's happening right now, dude. The little turds are being dropped as we speak.
it would be very
To you, friends.
interesting.
Oh my god!
The people are
Please
like, "What the fuck is Mel
stop.
talking about, little turds?" So right now, the Curiosity rover it has a drilling apparatus that basically takes little cylinder samples of soil, puts them in a tube, and then drops them where basically where it takes the sample, and then another launch mission will have to go and collect those little samples. So we are
Look,
actively doing that.
that is brilliant. That is brilliant. But we're going to need. I like the forward thinking of humanity in that sense. They're like, yeah, we'll get there eventually. Let's just drop these little turds first, and
Did did
we'll get to
any
them in the future.
did any of you see the picture that James Webb took of Jupiter?
What? No
Yeah,
way, dude. James Webb.
the first one's out. Yeah, that James Webb took of Jupiter. Go search it, bro. It's the most beautiful image I have ever seen of Jupiter in my life.
Um, launch December. I saw the high definition photo of Jupiter, but I'm not sure it's a James Webb photo.
I'm pretty
Is
sure
it?
it is. I'm gonna send you something. It's just let me see if I can find it here.
It excites me so much that we're making these advances within our lifetime. That we are here to be alive to see this happen.
Oh,
Have little
Yeah, I
robot.
don't think it's.
that's
I don't
not.
think
It's
it's James
Juno.
Webb.
It was Juno.
Yeah, I was
Sorry.
about to say. Yeah, like
I
James Webb. James Webb. We're only going to get photos from James Webb in July, dude.
I love how the just the title to this is James Webb Space Telescope takes pictures of Jupiter, and then right at the bottom under the photo it says NASA's Juno space probe. Man, people will do anything for attention.
It's not attention, bro. It's just like the clickbait. You clicking on that thing means they've made money. They've
Yeah.
gotten your click. They don't care if you
Or
read
they've
the
gotten
article or not.
publicity.
Exactly. That's what it's
I think
about, dude.
they
So
care more about publicity than the money.
Oh
No, 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 no,
no.
no, no, no. They get paid per click, dude. That's exactly what they care about.
Doesn't, dude? The more publicity they have, the more clicks. Publicity comes first.
They don't care about publicity anymore, dude. Like that's why these giant news corporations are willing to literally tank their own names for those or for those clickbait headlines. If they cared about publicity, they would respect their like readers enough to actually give them good information.
And what I find incredibly interesting is that this like problem that we're facing now with media and the
Misinformation.
misinformation that has been distributed due to this idea that you need to get people to click on it. Like I saw this thing where this guy was talking about Neptune, and the title was um Elon Musk and NASA discover terrifying
Yeah,
thing about Neptune that'll change everything.
I freaking watched that video as well, dude. And it's just bullshit for the
It's
whole thing.
just this absolute pile of horseshit. It
Yeah, but
makes a
it's
little
exactly
Like
the
an
sense.
same idea as Discovery Channel telling you that dragons
And
existed during the
mermaids
dinosaur
exist.
era.
Yeah, because there was like skin sacs in their
Yeah.
throats that could like have fat in them and like lunches.
It's
Like
a common symptom of scientific advancement. It's
and like
normal, and
You Christian are the first person I've ever heard say that. But Christian says this thing that the fifth horseman of the apocalypse is
Yeah, it
misinformation.
absolutely is, dude. And then the problem is the more misinformation that we spread, the worse things get. Like I feel like a large portion of, to bring it back to our topic, the Expanse's problems, if you look at it, stem from this miscommunication that keeps happening across the solar system.
yeah, the Belters see Earthers as complete fucking dickbags and leeches that just want money and more fame for themselves. The
And
Earthers see the Belters as ungrateful fucking pieces of shit.
yep,
Then the Earthers see Mars as
and
this militaristic new age for humans that want to take over the spear point of humanity and leave Earth behind. And the Martians see Earth as etc. etc. etc.
it
Martians see Earth as like someone who's also ungrateful for what they've been given and they squander
yep,
it.
yep, all over and over. This like and then
And I
the
love that they portray that so well in The Expanse because you cut to Earth and the place looks like a fucking shithole.
it's a shithole, dude. In the Expanse, they say that 70% of Earth's population is unemployed in like the second season
Yeah.
because just like
And that's very realistic, dude. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure within the next 30 years, 50% of the population is going to be unemployed,
the
dude.
problem is
30
what
years.
the problem that's happening is, and it stems. It's gonna stem forever until we can stop it. Is that we keep having more kids, but we don't have an economy that can grow at this rate that we need it. So you're
Actually,
getting
like you're actually
I don't
not.
think it's about the
Yeah,
economy, man.
that's also misinformation, dude. Like we don't have a population growth problem. Like there aren't enough humans, to sustain. Like we're already
okay. That I can actually
under
see.
under sustainable levels, dude. Like if
That
you
I can
go and
actually
look at the
see.
actual data, one of humanity's threats is going to be extinction because we're not having enough kids. And especially with the mindset of today, where it's impossible to have kids. So many people are opting out, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's fair. So this thing, now that you mention it, about uh, like Korea and like where they do that age graph, the one that does like 0 to 100,
Yeah,
and
like
then
it,
they
it
do both male.
distributes
Yeah, and
it
it just
shows you old people up top, middle class in the middle, and then young kids in the
yeah,
bottom.
and then they do this thing, and by the year 2060, Korea's population is going to go to a third of what it is now, just because
Yep.
it's not feasible to keep having the amount of kids that are or the
We're not
amount,
even the funniest thing is we're not even addressing the social problems that is
dude,
causing this.
dude, the social.
The social issues are, I think, the main factor of the lack of reproduction, not just the economic issues. It's like people have been fucking brainwashed with this idea that yeah, we should just totally stop reproducing right now because we're killing Earth. Not only that, but like it, suddenly they're exposed to worldwide information, and now standards have shot up in relationships. People are getting divorced because they think that there's something better out there for them. There's something more in another person, and so it just keeps jumping from one relationship to another. Then there's also this whole fucking charade of um of young relationships in general. Like now people are frowning upon people getting married early, right? They're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go live your life or something, go travel or something. And it's prolonging it even further. Now even more young people are not having kids.
Yeah.
So there's this huge snowball effect in so many different factors. The snowball isn't just gaining snow from the ground it's rolling on. It's like other people are throwing snowballs at it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if we're gonna talk about Expanse, going out into different like star systems, populating Mars properly, we're going to have a lot more kids. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
just won't have the population to do it.
Yeah, like we were discussing
Not only
earlier,
that, but our education has to be spread more.
your our
We can't be
education needs to be a
sending
lot better.
dumbass hillbillies to the fucking Martian
Hmm.
colony.
Unfortunately, they didn't really go into education at all in the Expanse.
They did at one. There was one thing that has always stuck to me that I remember. It was somewhere in the fourth season where they were talking and they were doing like surveys of Venus, right? Uh oh yes, you remember when the asteroid crashed into Venus and
Huh?
then they had the UNN shuttle that went down and to inspect the area that eventually got like blown up and spread into
Should
different
should have
parts.
probably said a disclaimer at the beginning of the podcast, like
Yeah.
spoiler alert for the Expanse people out
Yeah,
there that
I'll
haven't
throw
watched.
one in the thing. But anyways, so what happens is there's this one point where this guy's talking. He's talking about this like the quantum theory, and the guy goes, "Oh yeah, but no, that you can't talk about it like it's advanced. We teach this to our sixth graders," and it was
Uh,
quantum
Oh yeah.
physics. And it's just like what we don't realize. Like I remember when I was at school in like grade 7, my mom would be like, "Wow, you're doing this. I remember doing this in matric." And
Yep.
or grade 12 for everybody else. And so
Final year.
that idea of like having to understand that our kids are gonna need to learn at a much faster pace, and we need to get a better way of educating people to that degree. I actually have an interesting question. I know this is uh
controversial.
not controversial, but in the sense that we're talking with the population growth and diminishing, I still feel like we should only start going to school from 14.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason 14, 13, somewhere there, the reason I say that is that I know it's hard on people who are working, and I can see all the factors as to why it is very difficult to do this. But I feel like the overarching betterment that would come from kids getting to be kids for a couple years, not worrying, figuring out what they like. We have the
Also
internet.
coming to understand what they're interested in.
Yeah, that's the biggest
What
one.
the
Not
fuck
just telling them
when
to
you're
sit
6?
still for 8 hours a day from the day they're 7. That
My
just
Teach them how
nephews,
to read.
my
Teach them
nephews
how
and
to
my
read at
niece,
like 7, and then give them access.
my nephews and my niece in England started going to school at the age of 4. They started grades at the age of 4.
see like
That's bonkers.
it's just what is that kid gonna know besides yes teacher? Like I I feel like
Getting
that.
brainwashed so early, dude,
Yeah,
and for
dude,
so long.
you need time. Figure out what you like. Like the Esteon said, just give him
To be honest,
access.
let me tell this fact that happened in my family. When my nephew started going to school for a year or two, he was 6 years old, came back from school, and my sister would ask him, "What did you learn today?" And the kid, 6 year old kid, lifted his hands up into the air and said, "Worship."
Yep, because they it was it like religious worship or like
Yes.
yeah,
That's a big yikes.
dude, it's a big thing. I remember when I was at school, I got to a point where I just told the teachers I refused to sing. I'm sorry, I don't believe in God. I know at least the way you think of God, and I refuse. I'm not gonna sing with you like him and that. And so they eventually let me not take it. But it's like I don't know. I feel like the fact that you're saying it's even there makes me worry that it is everywhere.
In our day and age, in these young kids that exist on planet Earth right now, this is happening.
Dude, it's so sad to me because like that person, that unique fractal of a human being has now been condensed into a prepackaged idea to force him to go do what other people need him to do, rather than him.
It's not even forced. That's the funny thing.
Yeah,
It's not seen as forced. It's just available. It's like cigarettes almost, you know? The idea of temptation.
But the
Like
problem is, dude, like they're
if
teaching
you
the
just
kids how
didn't
to
have
smoke.
if you just didn't have cigarettes in the picture, right? They wouldn't even think about it.
yeah, but I also think it goes further. Like, since they're actively teaching these kids how to smoke alongside the idea of showing them that smokes are there. Because
Yeah, like if you don't smoke, you go to hell type of mentality as well. You know, so now you like ingraining this like guilt bias onto this
Oh no,
person from a very young age.
it's just an option. You know, you don't have to smoke or anything like that, but you will probably go to hell if you don't.
yeah, and we
Hmm.
won't talk to you if you don't. Like fucking children, dude. It's nutty to me how much of the
Chain
rules.
reaction, dude.
No, but dude, the amount of rules that have been put in place by adult children of the previous generations.
And now it's
Dude's
just being like followed as rules
And
because the
and
ancestors
now
said so.
let's take the topic back to the Expanse, right? Religion is still a factor, even in that day and
it'll
age,
never
right?
go away, dude.
But it's not as predominant or effective. You know?
Uh,
That's another thing I noticed about it is that they preached religion and they preached this whole idea of serenity through religion, and yet people
It was more
still,
symbolic.
yeah.
I think the reason might be that the solar system is very big, and yeah, you get news probably within a day or so, but I don't think when you're living in those harsh conditions, you're actually, I don't know, dude.
I think that's what
Interesting.
really boggled me about that day and age is that it was just Christianity. There wasn't anything else,
I
right?
feel like
Religious.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like that's just a detriment to the show. I I don't think it'll ever get
Greek.
to that point. Like, I think it'll forever be this. I don't want to call it war. More like a competition between people's beliefs. Yeah,
I I find it strange, right, that show chose to portray as Christianity being the only at time and space.
Dude, I can guarantee you, if we like spend 200 years, or like it's this reality that we're talking about is 200 years in the future,
New religion
there
will
will
probably.
probably be 200 new religions,
mm-hmm.
you know, in the same time.
Each Belter faction will be have their own variation of the overarching religion, each with their own beliefs. Like, because what we need to realize is the expanse or the expansion of our solar system is very much akin to the expansion that happened for the New World of America. It's going to be this rush for people to go to places that they believe are going to be better, and they're going to bring who they are with it. And in that way, each of the subsequent generations are going to take what they know, all the people that have been there, what they've heard, and make a new thing. Forever, you're going to keep having these amalgamations of the history's lost ideas.
Not only that, but did you also see the unity that was formed between the different factions? The only disunion that I could see was between the Belters. Because with the Martians, it was Mars. With the
Mm.
Earthers, it was Earth. The Belters, it was like all over the fucking place.
But again, I think we can classify that to the size. Because everybody on Earth stays on Earth or Luna, and everybody on Mars stays on Mars. The belt has thousands of colonies, and almost every belter has some way off of where they currently live.
But you could see that the conflict that was happening, right? I'm specifically talking about conflict, the lack of unity,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The Earth was Earth. We are Earth. We are our people. Mars, same thing. We are Mars. We are Martians. Whereas the Belters, they would say they are Belters, but they still had disunion in the belt. Like I'm a pirate. I'm a smuggler. I'm a what's it called a miner. You know, and there was still like conflict within the belt between those different factions.
That's interesting. I wonder what has ended up with it ending up that way. Earth, you can see why Earth is the way Earth is. But I still 100% say that the moment something threatens Earth, Earth will stand together as one. Irregardless,
So,
I
so
love this planet, dude. Fuck you. Who you dare try and take it from me?
deviating from what was exposed in the Expanse, I would like to say that there would be different factions on Earth, that there would be different factions on Mars, that the different beliefs would clash. It wouldn't just be unity on Mars. It wouldn't just be
Um,
unity. That's something that I think the show didn't do correctly.
I think it's probably really hard to touch on that and do the grand schemes. That's why they didn't. But I do agree that it's going to be very hard to have a fully united thing. It's why utopias don't exist. Wherever you have intelligent life or intelligent thought, different beliefs will always clash. You might have the same variations of the belief, but even within like the Catholic Church, there are thousands of different ideas. I think it's gonna come down to how strong the belief of the
Which leads,
planet
which
can
leads,
be.
leads to the next interesting question, and probably what led to the whole idea of the Expanse is how do you and how do you send people out into the belt and still maintain good. Almost
Hello?
impossible.
I think
Hmm.
you're cutting out a little bit, Christian, or at least on my side.
A little bit for me too, but he asked, "How do you send people to the belt?" And then I didn't hear.
Peacefully, peacefully, and um,
So you're just asking, how do you justify sending somebody to go live on a piece of metal where there is no air and no food, and you have
also tax them for it.
yeah. I think you do it because you're greedy. You have inkling of kind of the way blood diamonds happened. You're more powerful than they are, so what are they gonna do to stop you?
Essentially, I'd like to understand how the divide happened.
It's always been there.
How did we suddenly split
We
as
didn't.
almost like
What?
You know
race?
what I think? I just think we were quite literally split. You know, some of us were on Mars, some of us were in the belt, some of us were on Earth. And because of that quite literal physical disconnection, we started disconnecting the person as well. And as soon as you take the humanity away from someone, then it's very easy to demonize them.
Yeah.
I think the delay in the communication could be such a factor of that. Imagine
Oh, for
trying to
sure.
send a message to someone on Mars. It would take like what
15 minutes.
hours?
15
Hours?
minutes.
Yeah,
15
15
minutes.
minutes.
So
15 minutes.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that bad. Um,
But the
long.
thing is, in a 15-minute gap, you cannot have a conversation. I can send you a
Yeah.
voice note, you can send me a voice note back, but a conversation, an IRL real time conversation, is almost impossible to be had.
Yep. It is impossible. So
Yeah,
it's
it takes
physically
8 minutes. It
impossible.
takes yeah, it takes 8 minutes for the light of the sun to hit our planet. So even if we were communicating at the speed of light, there would still be a massive delay.
Technically, you are because radio waves run at the speed of light, but yeah, that's not. It's not here nor there. I think the thing is,
Do
you
you
ask. The thing
that
is,
that communication gap, I feel like would have so many social repercussions.
I think it's gonna
So
just
many.
extenuate what we have. Because if you look already, we have the working class problem, where you have the rich who look down on the people working for them, and now you add in the fact that the people working for you you'll never meet, never ever 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 in your entire life will you ever meet them, and they are a colony out 18 million miles away. I don't know how
So
far it actually
I'm
is.
seeing it from personal experiences with my family being divided all over the different countries, from Bulgaria to South Africa to England to Spain, Australia, Canada, and just that continental divide, just that alone. I'm not even talking different planets. I can have a real time conversation with my sister on Discord, but I do that once a day maximum. Once a day maximum. Minimum once every 2 weeks.
Mm.
Just already there's a communication gap there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely gonna be an issue. Is the That's why people, I don't think it's like a thing to have communications with people on different stations. You do it out of necessity, but it's not something you regularly do. It's you have Sirius station or this station or that station, and you kind of just work. Everyone's self-sustaining. You have ships coming in and ships leaving, and you get your news, but you'll never feel as if you're one. Don't think that'll ever happen.
You can see that divide already springing up. It's phenomenal, really. Strange, and it becomes a new challenge to humanity. A whole new, different Rubik's cube that you have to solve.
Did Are any of you watching Attack on Titan? The
Yes,
anime.
I've only seen the first season. I need to watch the rest.
Okay,
I am.
are you caught up, Chris? Chris?
Yes,
Are you
yes.
episode part 2 of the final season?
I'm fully caught up.
Okay, cool. I won't spoil anything, but just that is a very good representation for me of how a divide happens where you lack communication, or at least proper communication. In that sense, they had no
Yeah,
communication.
you become like an alien
Yeah, you
species.
become an alien species. People on Earth, the general public on Earth, don't get to see the general public of the belt. That's why in the last season that Arthur Sorella asks that other girl to do like the media capture and the like showing properly what's happening on Earth and in series and all that, because you need to humanize the problem for people to properly connect. Esther, I really like the way you said it. It's easy to demonize people when you're not looking at the humanity.
No, and it's happening right now. You know, this
I'm thinking of
whole
even if we simplified it right now on even further on Earth, just think of the people in North Korea. How how disconnected they are to the rest of Earth, or even let's up it and take it to China, where they have their own fucking internet that's not connected to the rest of the global internet. We
and like the thing is, like the
communicate.
crazy thing, just on that note, sorry, Christian, like they also cater what that internet allows. So even if you wanted to communicate like some serious important information, if the government doesn't approve that information, that communication just doesn't go through.
Um, I don't remember if I said anything on the podcast, but there is a place, I think it's in France, you can donate your USBs with whatever you want to put on it. They'll fly it and drop it on North Korea to try and get actual information into the place rather than just what's being shared and allowed.
That's wild.
Just to try and get people to understand that what the life they're leading isn't the one that they should be. Or
Bruh, I'm so sorry because this is a very serious topic, but I'm just imagining, you know, someone getting like 64 gigs of hentai or
it's
something and feeling like
absolutely happened,
like a
dude.
jackpot. He's just like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe
Dude,
it.
imagine him seeing it and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
What is
Watches
happening
it.
out there in the world right
Yeah,
now?
dude.
Yeah,
What?
Like
exactly, dude.
instead of dropping them like blueprints for recycling water or some shit like that, you just drop them 64 gigs of hentai. Like
Dude, you just
you're
show
you're,
them
you're looking
culture,
at
and
this,
I'm not
and,
gonna
and it's
lie,
literally almost like an alien transmission where you're like, what does this mean? What is what?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this information?
dude. I'm still something that still boggles my mind is the plaque that went on Voyager 2, the one that has like the entire history of humanity in the weird like hieroglyphic writing and
Yeah, phenomenal. But you
pictures.
have to decipher that.
Yeah, like we've made it kind of complicated, and we put music with it and a bunch of other shit. Imagine being an alien species coming across Voyager, being like, "What the fuck does any of this mean?"
I would call
So
it
like, dude,
I would call it a phenomenon of the multiverse, bro. I'd be like, there's something, and
I don't
it's
mean to
there.
be
I know it's there. I know it's there, but I just don't
you
understand.
you
I'm
could
gonna have to be the Martian in this context and just talk about the fact that if there is a hyper advanced, civilization that is actually capable of capturing Voyager, finding Voyager in the void of space, and then capturing Voyager, they will probably have some super advanced
yeah,
AI, and it will nom 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 that data instantly, pretty much.
yeah, there I will agree. Like it get
That's where I want to take it into the whole proto molecule space.
Good
That
transition.
Venus, right, where they found the proto molecule. Am I
no.
correct?
No,
Where did they find
they found Venus. Found
Mars?
Venus. They found the protomolecule on an extraterrestrial asteroid that had come into our
No, no. I
solar
swear it
system.
was one of the moons. It was. I thought
Nope,
it was Venus. It could have been one of the moons of Mars.
nope. It was an asteroid that they then started. They took to another station and then they let it loose on Ceres. Not
Really?
Ceres.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
not
maybe
Ceres, but
I'm
yeah.
maybe I misunderstood somewhere. But I thought they found it on one of the moons of Mars or some shit like that. And I thought to myself, isn't that such a fucking brilliant way to send something out into the cosmos? Is stick it in a giant celestial body and just push it out of the solar system, so
Mm.
that another planet somewhere out there will catch it in its orbit, and eventually a different civilization will find it.
So, uh, I I think I did talk about that other book I read where that was like the entire premise. This a super advanced alien civilization is like, we're gonna take these things and just throw it into random solar systems, and if the species gets evolved enough to the point where they can capture it, great. Then we'll get into contact with them. So the protomolecule, bro, is one of the most interesting things I've seen in science fiction because we still know nothing about it. Like realistic, we know nothing. We know that it was part of
Yeah,
like,
yeah, Johan. Remember? Sorry, Estian. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you or anything like that. But like, you remember those little dogs,
yeah,
Johan?
yeah, and the way the other kids saw after the thing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The,
the blue. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like I it's when we start looking at that amount of advanced civilization that can create zero inertia objects, pocket dimensions, wormholes. We need to understand that these are absolutely Kardashev 3 scaled civilizations, and that
We have
is
to understand that they are
terrifying.
absolutely beyond us.
Like, so far
Beyond.
beyond the primitive monkey brains that we still have that it wouldn't even be a competition to try and talk to them. We wouldn't be able to understand.
See, that's where I think the Expanse also failed a little bit. Is I do think humanity would have access to incredibly powerful AI that can do that for us.
Yeah, for sure. Like we do the AI humanity has right now, people have no idea about even. Like if you want to really educate yourself about what's happening in the AI space, go and look
That's
up
our
2-minute papers.
I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
that's our role as humans right now, is that the universe has given us this ability to have this biological brain that is capable of computing to such a degree where we can build something like an AI. Essentially, we are almost building something that will eventually replace us. It'll be the
Like
next apex species.
biology was basically nature's ultimate technology, and now biology
Cyberspace.
yeah.
This abstract, beautiful, wonderful one and zero idea that I'm honestly still stunned that humanity was even
And it
capable of
works, dude.
point. And it works.
like whenever I think back to the first couple, do I remember for learning in one of my in our subjects we had to like learn some of the old languages. People learning to just write hexadecimal as some of the original coding languages. You just learned to think in hexadecimal so that you could.
Dude, Turing.
Dude, Turing was a madman, and then he got chemically castrated for being gay.
Yes,
And
dude, that's so fucking
I
stupid,
know,
bro.
right?
Sorry, not even Turing. Von Neumann,
Yeah,
bro.
von Neumann is the person that thought of
Fuck,
the
fuck Turing.
system we have
Von
now.
Neumann.
Turing was the first person to come out with the binary idea in the Turing tape, but von Neumann really took it to what we have
Von
now.
Neumann gave the groundwork that was necessary to get to those ideas. And speaking of groundwork to get us to places, dude, I see Earth as our god. I see Earth as Mama Gaia, as the thing that gave us life, as the thing that gave us the capabilities to do the things that we can do in this
Yep.
modern age. And now we have become the new Earth, Mama Gaia. We are now the new thing that's going to give rise to the next thing, the next
Dude,
life.
just think about how much life humanity's gonna sow onto our quote unquote dead universe. Just our solar system alone, dude. Think about what we're gonna grow, make, expand, build.
Silicon life forms, dude.
Yeah, dude.
We will eventually build these things that are immortal, that have the computing power to go far beyond the sciences that we have currently. We are building that. We
Dude.
are the tip of the spear that's creating the next tip of the spear. Like that's how evolution works. That's how move forward in the universe, is that we are the precursor to what's
See,
going to
I
come.
feel like our understanding of that precursor is so varied at the moment because it can mean so many things. I feel like the true evolution of humanity is going to be the integration of the biological with mechanical. I think, and this is just my opinion about it, but why go through the effort of making a truly sentient AI? The it is way more
We're able to do that, Johan, when we're able to create a truly sentient AI, can put that in an indestructible body, and then look what happens.
fair. But if you think about what you could
Sigma
do,
Blue.
your Zima Blue, dude. Imagine what you could do though with a biological brain's capability of doing thousands of computations and growing itself into new directions and combining it with the with the clinical calculating mind that is anything we build in a computer system. You mix those together and you get something that a true AI would almost never be able to do, and that is live. Because I feel like something that we really undervalue and underappreciate is our neurons' ability to evolve, create new signals, build new neural paths. Our neuroplasticity, I think, is so important.
But we can do that.
Yeah,
Yo,
we
We
can
dude,
we
can.
can we can program neuroplasticity
think
into
about
computer systems as well.
no, but the hardware, dude. It
Boom,
like
Johan, can you imagine a brain made out of nanobots?
That's what I'm now thinking, but do you know how far technological we'd have to get to create nanites that could do
That
that
far,
at that scale,
not that
dude?
Like
far,
Johan,
Johan.
the thing is as well, dude. Like we're 200 years into the future right now.
Yeah, that's
Those things are
fair.
have been long possible, dude. And the alternative is that we don't advance. And like that is even more terrifying than advancing to the point where we have like when we're talking about AI, at least in this context, like super advanced AI, we're talking about general intelligence, as in pound for pound, human for human, this thing is human-esque. It can, assess its environment. It can make decisions based on the environment, and it can do so with the efficiency of a human. As soon as we like unbottle that genie, if you will, with computing power working in the way that it does, it can just make a billion of those beings and then learn from
here's,
them, and then
here's why I feel like
it
one of the
becomes
first
exponential.
things. Here's why I think one of the first things that we need to instill in an emotionally capable AI is gratitude. Is um fuck. words have been avoiding me the whole of
I
today.
know it's been
But
a week for me, dude.
gratitude, gratitude, as well as humbleness. I feel like those are some of the most amazing gifts that we can give babies, our future AI children,
So
is gratitude and humbleness. The capacity and the capability to say, wow, it's amazing that these beings gave me this. And I feel like that's what humanity is really struggling with right now, is that we're lacking gratitude and humbleness towards our planet. We're fucking it up. We're killing it. If we were to metaphorically and analogically explain it, imagine we created the new babies, the new AI, the new step in evolution, and then they started killing us off. That's what we're doing with Earth right now.
I think that people don't necessarily appreciate what we have on this planet. not not fully.
Like
Appreciation. There we
not
go.
not only
There's
that,
another word. There's the other word I was looking for in combination to gratitude and humbleness is appreciation.
but like I want to say, about this topic as well, Christian. Like if you look at humanity's behavior, like if me and you decided to build a house on plot, little square X, if you will. And plot square X, had a colony of little ants, and it had a bunch of bugs, and it had like a little mouse burrow, and we basically plow through that land. We uproot all of the rocks in it, and we prepare it for our house, and we build it, and we look at our house, and we say to ourselves, this is a good thing. And if you have that conversation with anybody, you ask them, you think it's a good thing that I built myself this house, 99.99% of those people are going to be like, yeah, congratulations. But from the perspective of those ants, you have literally murdered all of them for the attempt of building this house. And I think that's where we have to be careful with AI. Not so much of teaching them compassion and gratitude, but just realizing that they shouldn't be making decisions at the detriment or without taking into
Humble,
consideration
There's
us.
humbleness,
so
humbleness.
I sent a
So
thing in Discord. Don't read it now. It's not gonna be worth it. I don't know. I also just need to check if it's the full speech. But in the Warhammer 40k universe, I know it's a bit on the other side, but we're talking about AIs. In the just before the dark age of technology, the humans of the, I think it was the 225th millennia, so the year 25,000, so obviously a lot farther than we're talking now, is they have created AIs that are basically void ship spanning, like 300-meter giant ships made for with AIs built into them to run the entire ship and everything. But the detriment of what happens to humanity through the dark age of technology, the Horus Heresy and everything, they end up starting to fear AIs as malevolent spirits, which they have quite a lot of reason to in the 40k universe. That thing is that there's a lot of weird shit out there. But the thing I sent, and I'll post it at the bottom of the video, is a conversation that one of the tech priests of Mars has with the Ship of Eternity, which is a void ship that got lost in the void for 15,000 years and then reappears in this age of strife where humanity can no longer invent new things. They're not clever enough, and bunch of this, and
Just to inform people, like this society, the species literally travel space by going into the void, which is like the hell,
yeah,
and then coming back out of it,
dude,
into a different
it's
space.
it's
It's
quite terrifying.
weird.
I love the 40k universe, but let's not get into what we were talking about the Expanse. Um, but
that can be the topic for the next podcast, the 40k universe. Now,
I'm
what?
not really caught up on the 40k universe, but you were mentioning
so
AI in the 40k universe now as benevolent spirits,
what's
basically.
interesting, so no, so eventually the AIs did start turning on everyone, and it did get a little bad. But this story goes on to talk about this meeting between one of the text priests who are really high up in the creating side, talking to this AI, and just hearing the AI talk down to this human and talk in the way that he used to understand what humanity was and where they are now. Just go read it. I don't want to spoil anything, but it is the best example of how to treat AI and then what not to do in the face of AI. If we can understand that artificial intelligence can and will be a friend to humanity, we don't need to think about it as this thing that's going to replace us. Why? Why does
think
we have
here's a great example, right? Um, Essentially, our knowledge of Darwinism is that we came from the same ancestors as the primates, right?
yeah.
Chimpanzees, gorillas, monkeys. How do we treat them right now?
So interesting that you say that, dude. Like they actually have disabled human rights for a lot of primate species in America right now. So they basically get treated like a disabled human that can't make decisions or verbalize for themselves.
Bam!
So
But
like
can you
yeah,
imagine being treated
that's
like that
happening.
by an AI, dude?
That's technically how they would treat us, to be completely honest, because we would be disabled monkeys in comparison to them.
See, but I
You know,
think what where we I agree, but I'm also going to say that comparing monkeys now to where we would need to be to create true AI sentience, I think that it would be more on the level or a closer knit relationship, more in the sense of like, imagine if the monkeys of today were sitting in the Neanderthal period. They have tools, they have mediocre shacks, they have all that, and we are the AI. I think that would be more a relationship. It would be there that the AIs know they are more clever, but without the original to give the inspiration of who they are, I don't think AI will ever
Here-
really.
Here's why I think it's so beautiful life-wise and what we are taught as a human. Just from the simple example of our lives and the mortality associated with it. Just the simple example of us living with our parents and seeing them grow old and their brain functions going away and them becoming less intelligent and less capable, functional. The morality that is taught to us as humans is to, anyways, respect and love our elders, to do everything we can to look after them. And I feel like as a human race, we're actually sort of losing that. Previously, we used to cherish our elders, respect them and revere them, no matter what state they were in.
I
Everything in our power to
but
keep them comfortable.
Yeah, I agree that we are losing it a little bit, but I feel like it's justified in some way when
Ooh, careful, careful what you say now.
I'm not gonna.
We're gonna go back into our current argument.
So the reason I say it's a little justified is because you treat people the way you get treated. There are very few people that just outright or where the relationship isn't a play off of each other. And I am going to use myself as an example because I doubt any of them will ever listen to this. I treat my grandfather better than I treat my grandmother. Not they're not together. My grandmother on my dad's side and my grandfather on my mom's side. The reason is that my grandmother is a hypocritical racist asshole and my grandfather is an incredible human being that is just loving to everything and everyone, has respect for everyone, is incredibly
Your
intelligent.
granddad drew the short straw, huh?
Why? What?
Granddad drew the short straw with being with your grandmother, huh?
No, they're not together. Like the like I said, it's my grandma on my dad's side and my grandpa on my mom's side.
Oh,
So
okay. Sorry, complete
yeah,
lack of association through relationship.
yeah,
Okay.
completely. But that's what I'm saying is I feel like when the way we treat people is the way they treat us, and the same arguments can be brought up for the AI. If any of you played Detroit Become Human, or have seen anything on it, it's basically this where they have these artificial intelligence who basically act as maids or servants and that, but they get treated so poorly that they eventually get tired of it. They get given enough free will to eventually go, fuck this, I will no longer take it. And as long as we never get to the point where we dissociate that this AI is actually intelligent, we've created something that can think. It needs to be treated the same way. I think if we can
Have
keep
you
that
watched?
going,
Have you watched Westworld, Johan?
I have not.
You
Ah,
okay, dude? That's
damn it.
Yuan. If you like talking about AI, seeing into AI, seeing into like humanized
And
bodies,
morality and ethics.
morality around AI
Okay.
and ethics around AI, you'll love it, dude.
So yeah, I'll
Very
definitely
worth
go
a
check it
watch.
out.
It's pretty trippy, dude. Like it's kind of crazy what they go into there because like just to give you some background, this West world is quite literally like a park, you know, where they're like these artificial intelligent human beings. And they basically allow people to come and visit this park and they're allowed to do whatever they want to. But because these people are allowed to do whatever they want to, it also tells you a lot about who they are.
Yeah.
And that's as much as I'll say about the show's premise. And it's fantastic how they explore that.
Okay, I'll definitely go give it a look.
It's phenomenal in the sense that the whole idea of treating AI with respect and with reverence, and the same thing you would want for yourself, right? And how the lack of that brings repercussions.
Absolutely, dude. If you're gonna make sentient life like a kid, you gotta treat it like you would your kid.
Yo, dude, that show is like I'm just thinking about all of the stuff I remember. It's quite trippy. I think we have done a pretty decent job at exploring some of these topics. You
Yeah,
know, I'm kind of
dude.
happy that we went into AI. I feel without AI, the expanse as we saw it wouldn't be possible
No,
either.
I also don't think so. Remember, even in the Expanse, the AIs are really prevalent. I know we didn't mention it, but like the Rocinante has an incredibly sophisticated AI inside of it that does all of the checking, all of the routes that they need to do, all the scanning, all the automated firing, all the shooting down of missiles. Like you can't,
Just the AI necessary to chart the course
dude.
necessary to send asteroids to Earth without being detected.
Yeah, no, it's nutty. So yeah, AI is incredibly prevalent, and it is one of the core things that will take us to the next level.
It's necessary. We
Yeah,
don't have the monkey brain power to do it
we
ourselves.
don't.
We need the computers.
We
We need
need
the
we
servers.
need the speed of computers. That's it. We have the brain power because we can tell a computer to do it, but we don't have the speed, dude. That's the biggest problem. When you look at
Because
like
by the time our monkey brains are capable of
so
charting a course,
no, bro, the best
it's too late
example I
by
ever
then. The
have.
variables have changed. The circumstances have changed. It's already too late to apply that algorithm.
But I'm
Whereas
gonna
with AI, that can give it to you in a matter of seconds, visually charted out for you.
So, can I just tell? I want to explain something that I remember that was the first time that I really realized how big computers are compared to our humans' ability to do things. There is a guy that holds the world record. I told Estienne the story. There's a guy that holds the world record for writing out the words 1 to 1 million. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in words. Okay?
Oh my God,
It
really?
took him 11
He's a world.
years.
Yeah, I would imagine
Okay.
so.
11 years. I heard about this story the first time and I was 17. I just learned Python. I was like, that's pretty cool. Do you want to take a guess how long it took me from start to finished code and have printed out 0 to 1 million for me?
I'm guessing 1 minute.
It took me 10 minutes to write from
Okay,
start to end.
10 minutes.
to do what the person took 11 years to do by hand. And I was a 17-year-old, very, very new programmer. I remember I still brute forced it with just a for loop and a library that kept ticking up and ran from 0 to 1
That's a cool
million.
little thing you did. I never did shit like that when I was doing programming.
Oh no, I love
That's
doing little programs like that.
wait, did it actually print out the words for
Yeah,
you?
it printed out the words 1 to 1 million for me. And
How
so
did you program that? That's
it's
an interesting
basically
point.
Python keeps a library, and you just write a library where you bind characters to it. So I bound the Roman numeral characters to it, and then just did it into a string conversion over and over and over after doing some like basic. Oh no, wait, I did this way simpler. What I just did is I wrote a tiny little library that had the words 1 to 9, and then the
And
like,
hundred
and then
and
hundreds
thousand
and all of that. And
million.
then literally each word you get, you just iterate through it, because you just iterate over and over and over and over. And I think I wrote it was 4 for loops. Done.
It's not that easy to program that, funny enough.
I know it was, but it took me so. It's like just the fact that it was possible to do in 10 minutes what this man did in 11 years was the first time that I was like, bro, this is on another level. This is beyond what humans can ever accomplish.
Yeah.
And
We're,
that's
we're, we
technically
are we
something
are
you had
we
to
are
do with your
bound.
fingers.
We are limited by our physical bodies. We are limited by our biological needs. You have to eat. You can't just write these words all the time. I'm sure this man ate. I'm sure he
Mm-hmm.
went to
Well,
dates. I'm sure he had to hang out with his kids at some point. And that already takes away from all the processing power that he could have had if he just sat, ate chips, and wrote this shit down.
just
So,
like,
like, the next step of programming is going to be verbalizing these things, like literally having an AI partner who programs for you. So as you talk about what you wanted to have done, it literally does it in real time, and we already have GP3 doing this for us. Like,
yeah,
and
So
this
good.
is
I had this funny topic on my mind where I was going to reference another movie just now. You know Her?
Yeah, the Her
Now,
movie.
now overarching that, beyond that, I realized that it's amazing that humanity has come to these ideas which we can just reference from a movie or a book or a series or an art
Dude,
piece that we
memes. There, it's this like
no no no.
new.
that's
This
memes.
this is this is the power of humanity. This is the power of the human brain. This is what we underestimate. Is yes, we cannot write down the words 1 million to sorry, from
1
1
to
to
1
1
million.
million. Sure, we cannot write it down, but it brings me back to this this sort of anecdote um, that brings about the power of the human mind. Right?
Mm.
Is this king, and I think we should round it off
Yeah.
at this point. But this king um, brought out question to his entire realm, and he asked, "What's the fastest thing in in existence? What is the fastest thing in existence?" And one man came in and he said, "The horse." Got killed immediately, decapitated. Another man came in and he said, "A cheetah." Got killed immediately. Next man came in and said, "The dragonfly, the fastest insect in existence." Got killed immediately. Another man came and said, "The hawk, fucking, etc., etc." It goes on and so forth. Well, eventually a wise man came in and he said, "Human thought." The king said, "Okay, that's an interesting topic. Why do you say that?" He said, "Because it would take hours for a horse to run from one kingdom to another. It would take maybe minutes for a cheetah to run at full speed from one kingdom to another. But I can think, for me standing where I am now on Earth, the very ends of the cosmos, I can do that in a thought, in a split second."
Mm-hmm. And I've never heard that before, but I really like it because it is. That's why I say, and I will stand by it, that to get to the level of what our brains are able to achieve just with that thought of me, just above that, me being able to take what we understand as our known universe and throw it in front of me and see the equivalent of 90 billion light years across. I can't see many details, but I can see it. I think,
Fathom it.
yeah, I can fathom it. I think that's why it's going to be a interesting balance between being able to use the biological that has given us instantaneous teleportation across anything we've ever seen and the ability to do arithmetics at that speed. I think
This is why I'm
This
such
is
an agent for chaos, because it is the chaos within us. It is the inexplicable within us. It is the incomprehensible, the illogical within us that makes it so beautifully infinite.
I think if we're going to be talking about realizing things as fast as thought, technically the collective dream we've been having is this dream of the internet, this metaverse, to be able to experience things, as fast as we can think them. Technically, if I want to, see a picture of a banana right now, I can go and Google banana and find a picture of this banana. So what I believe, talking about experiencing things as fast as we can think them, that is what we're realizing right now of the metaverse as it is. It is going to be absolutely insane because as fast as we can think things, we will be allowed to both create things and experience things.
I think that is a brilliant place to leave it. We are a blessed generation that just needs to make use of what we've been given.
We're not just a blessed generation, Johan. We're a blessed fucking species.
Yeah.
We are. We have been given this phenomenal gift without the perhaps the terabytes of computational power or the terabytes of server storage, RAM, etc., etc. But even without that, we're capable of imagining things that are beyond, that are so abstract. With, and then that maybe that's another topic to talk about in future podcasts. On this train that we're riding, the idea of DMT, the idea of just this other realm that we're capable of tapping into, that is beyond the physical, that is bleeding into the spiritual, into this whole other dimension, abstract dimension that is even beyond AI, even beyond AI. No matter how powerful the AI is, can it bleed into spiritual? I'm curious.
We will find out next time. I do think we should wrap it up and
Is that a cool topic for next time? Can
yes.
Yeah,
AI bleed into the spiritual? Let's
I
leave that
so
for
like I believe so, dude. I believe that eventually, especially
okay.
with general
Well,
intelligence.
well, build up your argument, Estian. I will do so as well throughout the week. I'll be thinking about this, and then we can sit and really debate it.
So much love and light to every single person who reached this point of the podcast. Like
To
it's even
all of
more
our
impressive.
lovely listeners, to all of our delicious humans that are out there, and once again, a disclaimer: these are all just ideas, all just speculations.
We're
uh
not making any truth claims.
yeah. Guys, I love you much. I love you very much. I love everyone on the
Cheers, cheers,
planet
everyone.
and I love you guys. Good
Love,
night.
love, and light, guys. I think that's at the end of all of these podcasts. I want to say that I think the overarching idea that the one true answer that we can come to, despite all of the fucking factors and variables we have to take into account, love and light and peace and joy.
These
Yeah.
things are true, dude. These things are forever true.
I think these are the things that we strive towards, even
Yeah.
space travel, even through. No
Yeah.
matter where we go, I think the most amazing, important, and unbelievable message that we can throw out there is try to love, try to be patient, stand and try to spread. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Adios,
you so
muchachos.
much, Christian. I appreciate you bringing the loving perspective today, Brother Bear. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for the topic.
Yeah.
Friends, have a great one.
You guys too. Bye.
Cheers,
Bye bye.
cheers.